Then lobbest thou the holy hand grenade, and the enemy, being naughty in the Emperor's sight, shall snuff it. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're taking a look at a few more Black Templars rules previews, where it seems today that we have an interesting mini relic section of the codex that allows you to hand out some other sacred relics for smiting the enemy to some random guys within your Black Templar squads. One of them appears to be known as the Holy Orb, and it's even represented on the Black Templar upgrade sprue, so it's quite nice to have a new miniature and rules for the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch from Monty Python in Warhammer 40k. In any case, let's take a quick look over the new rules and see what they might mean for the Black Templar army. So the rule that they've shown off is called Relic Bearers, seemingly to represent the increased willingness that the Black Templars have to give any random people in their squads extra relics to carry into battle, putting a lot of their chapter's most storied and valued possessions right on the front line. Again, while they have seemed to have given us the actual in-game mechanics for the rule, they haven't really given us too much context around the rule, and exactly how it's going to be able to slot into your Black Templars army. Basically, it's a little bit ambiguous whether this is just going to be locked to Crusade armies, or whether it's going to be a whole match play rule. If I'd had to make a guess between the two, I would guess that this is going to be for match play as well as Crusade, as usually whenever they're showing off mechanics for just the Crusade game mode, they'll typically title the article labelled Crusade Preview for the Black Templars, and talk all the way through about how these things are available to Black Templar Crusade armies. There's no mention of that in the actual body of the rule text, or in any of the fluff text towards the start of the article. The only place where they're mentioned is at the end, where they say that you can unlock them for Crusade armies, apparently seeking them out as rewards for various deeds in battles, but they definitely don't say that that's the only way that you can get access to them. Going out on a bit of a limb, I'm going to guess that this is the points cost upgrade ability for the codex, in the same way that Blood Angels got Death Company characters, Necrons got Cryptek Arcana, and Grey Knights got Wisdoms of the Prognosticars. It just seems like this will be quite an easy way to get them into the game, and just paying a cost for each one of these Relic Bearers that you want to include. In any case, I certainly hope that it won't just be locked to the Crusade armies, as it looks like quite a fun mechanic, and just judging by the only two that we've had previewed today, a really quite potentially powerful one for the units that can take these. In any case, to unlock these rules, your army needs to have a Black Templar chaplain in its ranks. Not really the hardest thing to do, to be honest. Black Templars have their own unique chaplain litanies, and they've got chaplain Grimaldus as well, so that's really easy to have one available. And then it allows you to include these mini relics on your infantry and biker squads, as per a list that we don't have access to yet. It's interesting that these can only be taken by Black Templar squads, they can't be taken by characters or anything, and basically you must nominate one model within the unit to be the Relic Bearer, it doesn't have to be the squad sergeant, and they just say that you have to mark it as distinct in some way to make sure that you can tell it apart from his squad mates. That kind of makes sense, you need to know which model actually has the relic in question for whether or not he's killed, and they did suggest using some parts of the Black Templar upgrade sprue that they have coming out to give him a few extra Templar bits to make him stand out. It seems really quite de-restricted, being able to be taken on any infantry or biker units that aren't characters, so it could be useful on those new Crusader squads or Sword Brethren, or maybe some of the other melee powerhouse units in Codex Space Marines, perhaps Vanguard Veterans, Terminators or Blade Guard. All of those guys tend to have pretty decent success in Black Templar lists. Finally, as per normal relics, you can't take multiple copies of the same one, but it does sound like you can have as many as you want. I'm guessing you'll just have to pay the points cost for each one that you want to include. We're not sure how many of these we're going to have yet, but so far they've previewed two of them. Both the Holy Orb and the Icon of Heinemann seem like really useful upgrades for a melee-focused squad. Let's take a look at their rules now then. So first up we have that Holy Orb, or Holy Hand Grenade depending on what you want to call it. In the flavour text they describe it as a masterpiece combining explosives with sacred unguents, detonating in a scalding cloud of incense, with unbelievers being sent into paroxysms of agony while they contemplate their sins. You can see the tiny little miniature bit of it next to the Space Marine backpack on that Primaris upgrade sprue below. In any case, it functions as a once per game shooting attack. In the shooting phase you nominate one enemy unit within 6 inches and visible to the model. The hand grenade has two effects. First up, you roll a d6 and on a 2+, the unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, basically functioning like a mini smite. And furthermore, until the end of the turn, the unit that you've targeted isn't eligible to fight until after all other eligible units from your army have done so. So basically it's a fight's last ability that also deals out a few mortal wounds. As we'll hopefully talk about in a video later today, fight's last is a really handy thing to have going in 40k. It means that the enemy unit won't be able to interrupt with a counter-offensive and get the jump on your Black Templars, so pairs well with just about any melee squad that you have to throw down the lines. I'd say the main issue with this is the short 6-inch range. If you're needing any sort of long charge, you won't be quite in range to be able to shoot this, so I think it's usually going to be better on fast movers such as Vanguard veterans, who with their jump packs could hopefully get within charge range quite easily. I do quite like the way though that this isn't actually technically a shooting attack, so it seems that you can happily chuck this grenade in while also firing off any of your other weapons in the unit, or even chucking another grenade if you want to, and it sounds like you'd even be able to do this if you were locked up in close combat, smashing the enemy with a little bit of extra damage and making sure they can't interrupt. Sounds pretty useful though. Obviously it depends on how much it's going to cost to include in the army. I'm sure it could be very handy for dealing with other enemy melee units or any killer rabbits that you might happen to encounter. Fight's Last is really nice, but I'd argue that the Icon of Heinemann, a defensive mini relic, might just be equally powerful or perhaps even more so. Apparently this one represents the symbol of fallen Black Templars Castellan, who was martyred at the climax of the Donian Crusade. Basically you give this to one of your models in the unit, and whenever your model is targeted by AP-1 or AP-2 attacks, then those attacks are treated as AP-0 instead. Now the reason that I think that this is so strong is that it allows your unit to be stupidly tanky against this sort of firepower. I will look at taking this on one of those melee units that I mentioned earlier, either Terminators or Blade Guard or Vanguard Vets with Storm Shields, and it means that if your unit is targeted by anything that's AP-1 or AP-2, you can tank all of those hits on one guy with a 2+ armor save. It should take an inordinate amount of fire to bring him down with those sort of hits, and you could potentially even combine that with a command reroll if he does get unlucky and rolls a 1 and any damage sneaks through. The best part about it is that you can just put this on a random model in the unit just to act as a tanking model. If the unit's targeted by AP-0 attacks or anything with AP-3 or worse, you can catch it on any of the other bodies in the unit and only start taking saves on the Relic Bearer once you actually get targeted by the AP-1 or AP-2. It could make units like, say, Terminators super frustrating to deal with if the enemy army has gone all in on loads of this type of shooting, maybe spamming lots of heavy bolters or autocannons and things, where you're going to catch a load of that on a 2+ save model before it eventually goes down. Again, depending on whether we can take this in match play armies and how much it might cost, that's really going to be the clincher as to whether or not it's worth it, but just on the face of the rule it seems really potentially strong, and a massive survivability boost to your Black Templar armies moving up the field, making a big unit with Storm Shields even more of a thorny problem to take down for the opponents. So overall, another couple of fun new rules for the Templars. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and whether you think that these will just be for Crusade play, or whether they might be for match play as well. If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming, including plenty more for the Black Templars as we hear more. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and you can find that down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways, with the chance to win some really big model kits every month. This month's giveaway should hopefully be for a couple of boxes of the Purgation box, so some Black Templar goodness there. Feel free to check that out, it's down in the video description if you're interested. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.